Welcome. I'm Sarah Kilner, one of the assistant principals at Wodonga Middle Years College, and I'm in charge of managing the smooth transition for grade 6 students into year 7. And tonight we're here to welcome you to our iPad information evening. And straight up I'm going to hand over to Steve Foraker, who's our curriculum assistant principal, and he will take us through the information session this evening, and at the end I'll come back and talk to you about some specific key dates and key information for transition.
Thanks for the introduction, Sarah, and I'd also like to welcome all of our prospective Wodonga Middle Years College families to our iPad information evening. Just before we get into it, please make sure that if you've got any questions throughout the presentation that you put them into the live chat, and we'll get to those throughout the rest of the session. So the main reason that we're a one-to-one iPad school is because we're partnered with an LMS, which is the company's Desire to Learn, and they deliver a platform to us called Brightspace. Most of our students know this is D2L, which is our learning management system that houses all of our curriculum. Now, given that we've spent 2 terms this year in remote learning, it's been extremely beneficial to all of our students to have access to curriculum. So D2L operate under the motto of reaching every learner, and it closely aligns with our motto of every student, every opportunity, success for all. So we have opportunities now for our students to access curriculum before, during and after lessons. The iPad is one tool to support the learner in the classroom. It definitely doesn't replace the great work that our teachers do with our students in the classroom. So along with the student's binder, their pencil case, the iPad is just as important tool that they take with them to all of their sessions. Our course layouts within D2L are very similar, which is great for kids to learn how to navigate their way through Desire to Learn. The example that we have up there at the moment is a Year 7 English course, where you can see across the top the navigation bar, regardless of what course that the kids are in. They follow a very consistent program in terms of how they access their course content. We have a look at our course content there, staying in the Year 7 English page. Our modules, our units of work are all set out down the left-hand side of the column, and our students can work through that at a really individualised pace. I have a look at our lesson structure within our Year 7 Science course. It's very consistent in terms of our ability to follow an essential question, a learning intention and success criteria, and then the content is all filtered and sits within that. We have discussion spaces for reflection and collaboration for students, and it's just one way that we can connect with our kids and have our students reflect on their work. So an example here is one taken from our English course, and looking at some persuasive writing techniques, but kids have the ability to connect online with each other, respond and create posts of their own. So it's just one form of communication and a tool that sits within D2L. A very common tool that we use to support our feedback model at Wodonga Middle Years College is our Dropbox. So we use this for assessments and feedback, and it's been very prevalent this year during our period of remote learning, and something that we continue to use for our formative and summative assessments throughout the year, regardless if we're face-to-face or we've got our kids working remotely. So an example there is a student would submit their work into a Dropbox, the teacher then grades a rubric and provides them with feedback on their task. Quizzes tools is another tool that we use within D2L. Our student learning data is something that we really pride ourselves on, and knowing our learners and where they're at, so we can provide that intervention and that support for our students to ensure they attain the right learning growth. Our quizzes tool is something that our students will either use as a diagnostic form of assessment, something we use during our units of work, or at the end as a summative assessment, and gives us a really good gauge on how our students are progressing in the classroom. The example that we've got here is a student that's taken a photo of their work in a foods class, and it's one of the reasons that we are a one-to-one iPad school. It gives our students a great access and accessibility to a range of assessment tasks. So while it can support their technology skills with their literacy, their reading and writing, they have the ability to take photographs. It's a mobile device that we can use in a range of different settings for students to capture their learning, submit it to their teachers, and then get that appropriate feedback. Every student who commences at Wodonga Middle Years College with an iPad or a device signs an acceptable use agreement. We are an eSmart school that aligns with our care values, and we ensure that our students are following their acceptable use agreement policy. If students do breach that, there are management steps in place where we need to make sure we're following through and we're communicating that with our families. But one piece of advice that we do like to provide our families is that it's really important that you're monitoring your students' access at home. We have systems in place, we have network security in place for kids to make sure that they're doing the right thing at school, but we really rely on the importance of our students doing the right thing while they're at home and they're at school. The new iPad that we have a partnership with JB Hi-Fi Education, that I'll talk about that in a minute, is the iPad 8th generation. Our JB Hi-Fi Education portal is where we recommend our families to go to purchase the iPad. We have there's no benefit for us in terms of the agreement that we have with JB Hi-Fi Education. You can source your iPad from somewhere else if you prefer to do that, but we recommend that you use JB Hi-Fi Education purely because they have a great warranty system in place. It's quite an easy process to jump online, select the iPad that you want, and either pick it up in store or have it delivered to you. So the two options that we do have are the 32 gigabyte and the 128 gigabyte. They're both identical in terms of their size and functionality. It's just the space on them. I would recommend that if your your child is only using the iPad for learning only, then the 32 gigabyte device is fine. If you want that device to be their everything, where they access certain games or social media, take lots of photos and videos socially outside of school, then you might want to look at the device that has the biggest storage space. But genuinely we find that for students that are using their iPad for school purposes only, that the 32 gigabyte device will be fine. Insurance options. Apple Care for iPad is something that we definitely recommend and is an option you should select when you're in the JB Hi-Fi Education portal. There's a number of details within that, but it's really important that your kids, accidents do happen. You must select the right cover in there. We want to really encourage kids to have the keyboard cover so they're getting that typing skill and they're carrying those skills through with them. But, accidents can happen, whether it's, dropping the bag heavily, it's knocked off a table accidentally. So taking that Apple Care out is a really important investment. And you can go through the specifics in terms of what that insurance policy looks like on the JB Hi-Fi portal. Very simple. This documentation will be up on our school website, but you search JB Hi-Fi Education to access your iPad and to submit your order. The school code for this year is WMYC 2021. And as you go through that, you just click and collect the options that you want, and the iPad JB Hi-Fi will notify you when you need to come and collect that from in-store. So that's it in terms of the formal presentation around the iPad and the functionality around it, and I'll now have a look at some of the questions and respond to those as we go through.
Thanks, Steve. That was really informative, and I'm hopefully that we've got answered some questions for you this evening. And if you have still got questions, you know that you can contact Steve or myself to inform you of whatever you need to know after that session. Now, I do have some key dates here that I want to draw your attention to for Term 4, and it has been a little bit of a different year, and I'm going to speak to these key dates specifically, but I want you to know that they could possibly change. But all our families, at the end of this session, I'll talk to you about the best place to find that up-to-date communication. So if these dates do change or the information changes, you know where to access it. So our Koori Transition Day is our first specific date for the 6 into 7 transition this term, and Huon students, that occurs on Wednesday the 18th of November, and for our Fell Timber students, that's Thursday the 19th of November. And so that is all our current grade 6 students who identify as Koori or Indigenous or Torres Strait Islander have the opportunity to attend this full day session with our Kezos. Our grade 6 Koori liaisons and our Year 7 Koori staff will be running a great day, and it just gives the kids another opportunity to get to know each other and identify with their culture and understand how Wodonga Middle Years College supports that process. So they're your key dates and times, and they would arrive at Middle Years College at 8:55 and drop them off, and then you would pick them up at 3:10 at the end of the day. Again, any questions, just contact us. Head Start is our next big key activity that we're really excited about and is going to happen face to face, fingers crossed, and that is week 10 of this term. And again, that is every single student who is attending as a Year 7 in 2021. They will attend Head Start just like a normal Year 7 student. They will catch the bus, they will ride to school, they'll be dropped off just like they would next year, and they will arrive for the commencement of the day at 8:55, so you can get here at 8:30, 8:45 each day. They'll do their 4-period day, they'll get to know their teachers, and essentially at the end of the week they will have had a week in the life at Middle Years. And all our kids that do Head Start, at the end of it, take a big breath and are really happy and calm about starting next year. So it sends them into the school holidays with a lowered anxiety and less nerves around starting Year 7. Then we wanted to draw attention to our Camps and Activities Week as well, which is something that we've been really proud to offer our community in term 1 of each year. And it's going to look different next year, which is disappointing, but our team is really committed to putting on an awesome week for our students in relation to camps and activities and building relationships and connections within our college. And so there's an information page there that I can draw your attention to on the website, and that will be updated regularly. But as we see it now with COVID restrictions, these will be day activities. So we'll have our athletics carnival on the Tuesday after the long weekend in March in term 1, and then we will have 3 days of activity sessions around our region, from wakeboarding to hiking to football to movies, mountain bike riding. There'll be lots of things for students to engage in, but keep up to date with our website and that will provide you that information. Now, a big reminder that our admin team always want us to let parents know, if you haven't handed back your information and enrolment packs to the front office of which campus your child's going to, that's really critical that we have that in ASAP. That those enrolment forms, we can't have the students here on site until we have those enrolment packs back. So if you haven't handed them in, get them back to Middle Years as soon as possible. Now I've got a slide here which will sit up on the screen for a little bit that they're great places, and I know our primary schools have been really great at providing this information for our families. But if you aren't connected with our Facebook page, make sure you are. And our website, we've got a great team of technicians that keep our website up to date, and that's a great place for you to tap in regularly. If you think you've missed something or you're not sure, there's a great transition 6 into 7 platform there that has all the key information. And we have sent out our first welcome email to families earlier this term. So if you haven't received that, please contact myself directly and say, I haven't received that, check your junk mail. But we have been connecting with families directly through that distribution of the email list that we've been given on the enrolment packs. So that wraps us up for the evening. I hope you've got some takeaways and you know what you need to do from here on with the iPad. And if you've got any questions, you know the communication process of how to find the answers and who to come and see. So thank you very much. Our first question here that I'm just waiting on, do you have to buy a new iPad if you already have one?
Yeah, I can jump in. Thanks, Sarah. No, you definitely don't have to buy a new iPad. If someone in your family has an existing one, We definitely do encourage you to make sure that it is the most current iPad, hopefully. Anything sort of from an iPad 6th generation, 7th generation, so the new ones are the 8th generation, and we encourage our kids to have especially our incoming Year 7s, to have the newest one, because our LMS continues to update its software, so it's important that we have the device that can handle that. So there's nothing wrong if you've already got an iPad, you don't need to purchase one, but yeah, please make sure that it's relatively new.
And the next question there is, are there any options if we can't afford to buy an iPad? And so what we would say to all our families is that middle years pride ourselves on ensuring that each and every kid has the same access to any learning equipment or learning opportunities. So I would ask families to come and speak to us directly, but there are options to loan or rent iPads through our library. And there's also some other financial support options that we can talk to families about, but I'd encourage families to contact myself directly at Fell Timber, and we'll put you in touch with the right people to get you sorted, so no one's disadvantaged.
Yep. The next one is how programs loaded onto iPads. So a lot of the work that we do on iPads is based on our learning management system, which is D2L. So a lot of that's web-based, so nothing needs to be loaded on. There are some specific apps that we will use in programs, but generally in saying that, nothing needs to be preloaded. A lot of the work, and every student at middle years gets access to an Office 365 account, so that comes free with being a student in Victoria. So we step kids through how to log in, how to access their emails, set up a calendar. So there's no need for any apps to go on before the start of next year.
Okay, our next question there is regarding the keyboard option and the compartment for the Apple Pencil.
Yeah, I'll jump in with that one, Sarah.
Thanks, Steve.
So, with the accessories that are available through the portal, we strongly encourage families to go with the STM cover that includes the keyboard. We think that typing is an important skill that we want our kids that have been working on computers or devices in primary school that have they've developed some typing skills. We definitely encourage you to select that keyboard cover. Yes, it's a bit dearer than the keyboard. The cover without the keyboard, but we strongly encourage our Year 7s to purchase the cover with the keyboard. The pencil is just there as an optional accessory, but the majority of our students get by fine without the pencil, so there's no need to purchase that. It's just an additional preference.
I think the next one's for you too, Steve.
Yeah, do we need to purchase Office programs, or are they provided by the school? All Office programs are free. So yeah, that comes from PowerPoint, Word, Excel, their OneDrive account. Everything will be set up online, and most of their work sits up on the cloud, and every kid will be given their own login where they can access Office 365.
Yeah, and again, like we said, there's another question there regarding if you can't afford to buy one, contact us and we'll talk you through the options of loaning an iPad through our college or supporting a family to make sure that they have access.
All right, next question. It's a good one. It comes up every year. Can we use an Android device? We have a 2019 Samsung S6. So we are a BYOD school. So if you have an existing device in your home that can, all of our programs are generally web-based. As I said, there are some specific apps. We'd probably just have to make sure that the Samsung device and the Google Play can support the same apps that we're using with the iPads. So I would say please bring it into the school or make a time to meet with either myself, Sarah, or we can arrange a meeting with our IT department just to make sure it is compatible. So I don't want to say no to that question yet, but we would like to maybe have a look at the device just to make sure that the student can hit the ground running day one next year. The next question is, do they need a keyboard and a pencil? Hopefully I've covered that question before. So obviously the keyboard we strongly recommend and the pencil's optional.
But I'd also encourage you, what Steve said, I'd reiterate that, we're really open, and especially given that with COVID, we can't see you as much as we would like. please call us or email us, and we will definitely have a chat to you. Next question, will there be additional textbooks to purchase as well as the iPad?
So no, we don't have any textbooks at the school. When we move to an LMS, all of our content's stored online. A lot of the teachers develop our curriculum in line with the Victorian curriculum. We offer a highly differentiated program, so there's no additional purchases for textbooks required.
Thanks, Steve. And so we've got that's a great question, actually. There's a question there about whether they bring their iPads in this year or not, and we don't require our students to bring them to Head Start. The setup process for them logging in and getting on our system will occur with their care teacher at the start of next year. So during Head Start, they won't require their iPad at school for learning.
A question, does the iPad case include a keyboard? Yes, just make sure you select the right option in on the portal.
And so the keypads can be ordered through the portal, through JB Hi-Fi, but if you get on that portal and you can see what specific cover and keypad that you need, and if you can find that elsewhere, you can. But yeah, you need to make sure that you've got the cover with the keyboard attached. We've got some questions coming in now, which is great. So questions regarding the supply of binders and pens, etc. So there's a list of what you need, but parents and families do purchase that themselves and have themselves ready to go. And in Head Start, that will be discussed as well.
I think, yeah, for our requirements for a Head Start, we just, try and, at least for a start, have a book for every subject. So you're looking at potentially 8 books for a Year 7 student that'll do 5 or 6 core subjects and 2 electives in their first week. So to make sure your students or your kids are organised, it's best if they, the iPads, as we said in the presentation, it just supports the learning in the classroom, but it doesn't detract from the reading and writing, so it's really essential that a kid has a book for every subject, a binder, and a pencil case with the required elements.
And through Head Start, students will be given a Head Start pack to take home to their families, which will have all this information for Head Start and for next year as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the list of stationery requirements will be in that Head Start pack for students, and your student will be given that in person, in hard copy at Head Start. And if Head Start doesn't run face to face, we will get that to families as well via the mail.
If their current iPad have games, etc., should they be removed or can they remain on it? Yep, I would strongly recommend that all games are taken off iPads. We want to encourage our kids that they're a learning device, and we know how the adolescent brain works. It's wired to respond well to games, and the temptation can be great for a kid to, their mind to wander off the task at hand and move back to a game that might be a little bit more fulfilling or rewarding in their mind. So yeah, we try and we're iPad free during our breaks. We want to encourage that our kids are using them only for learning devices. How you manage that as a family at home is completely up to you. We have an acceptable use agreement. If a kid was to be playing a game in class, we'd be following a normal classroom management policy where they'd be asked to, hop off it, put their device away. We have an e-smart box at the front of the room, so it's at a teacher's discretion when the iPads are and aren't out in the classroom. And yeah, if you can do your part as a family to support that, it makes the life of the teachers
Absolutely.
A lot easier. So the question is, do they need an iCloud account specifically for school? It depends. Some families have a family iCloud account, so they can make sure that anything that the student's trying to download or access needs to be approved by the parent. So there's not a specific school iCloud account, it's just a personal or family account depending on how you want to set it up within your family.
All right, there's no more questions there. So if we don't have any more questions, we'll finish up the evening, and thank you for watching and thank you for taking the time. It's an important time for your child to transition from grade 6 to year 7, and a lot of people, and it is a big transition, and sometimes students can feel a little bit anxious about that, but it's really important as a family that we talk about it positively and see it as a really big opportunity and an exciting opportunity, and that you trust us as a college that in Head Start and at the start of next year will ensure that your child transitions to Wodonga Middle Years College really smoothly and positively, and we will communicate with the families really closely to make sure that your child gets exactly what they need when they're at Wodonga Middle Years College. Again, feel free to contact us at the college if you need to, but otherwise thanks for taking this time to listen to this evening. Thank you.